We're going to see about wireless personal area network, and wireless personal area network is shortly known as WPAN. Actually, this personal area network where the interconnected devices are centered around a person workspace and connected to the wireless medium. Example. So here the definition of IEEE definition is that wireless personal area networks are used to convey information over a short distance among a private and intimated group of participants. You can say example Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. These are the examples of wireless personal area network, and some things that around 10 meters within the closest range, the devices can be transmitted. The message can be transmitted from one end to another end, and it is mostly the connection between the device happens within the building or in the room within the shortest range. Let us take an example of Wi-Fi connections where two friends are chatting and sharing the documents with each other in the room. So this is an example of simple example of wireless personal area networks. So it's a connection made through a wireless band that involves little or no infrastructure that is directly connected to the world outside to the link. So this allows a small and power efficient and smart solution to implement wide range of devices. So the few example of WPAN includes wireless mouse, wearable devices, and USB flash drives, and digital cameras. Digital cameras and Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. These are the few example of WPAN, and you can also say the motion sensors and personal server. These are the few example of your WPAN. Okay, and next is, so these are the few example of WPAN, that is the Bluetooth, Zigbee, and ultra bandwidth. So it is divided into three classes, that is high rate WPAN, that is it identified by IEEE standard where it can give a data output of 20 Mbps, and mid rate WPAN, it defined as an IEEE 802.1.5.1 standard, and data to throughput is 1 MB, and low rate WPN, that is defined by IEEE for the data rate of 0.25 Mbps. So let me say a few application of wireless WAN. So it is mainly used for short range connectivity for multimedia application, and hands-free devices connection, and industrial sensor application. These are the few applications of wireless WAN. So let us see about Bluetooth. So what is Bluetooth? So Bluetooth is a cable replacement technology that can be used to connect almost any devices to any other devices, and it is a radio interface enabling an electronic devices to communicate wirelessly via a short range around 10 meters. That is said to be a ad-hoc radio connection, and the standard for small cheap radio chip, which is to be plugged in the computers, printers, and mobile phones. So it is mainly a cable replacement technology. It is used to transfer data between one devices to any other devices. So what we are using in day-to-day life. So these are the products where Bluetooth is used. That is your notebook PCs and desktop computers, printers, PDAs, and other handheld devices. And we are using in day to day in cell phones, and also all wireless peripherals such as headsets, cameras, and access points. And it is also used in CD player, TV, VCR, DVD, and telephone answering devices, and cordless phones and cars. These are the few products where Bluetooth is enabled. Next, let us see the radio range of Bluetooth. So it uses a radio range of 2.45 gigahertz, and its maximum bandwidth is 1 Mbps, that is 1 microbit per second. And several Bluetooth devices can form an ad hoc network called Piconet. So in a Piconet, one device acts as master to set the frequency hopping behavior, and other acts as a slave. Example, conference rooms with many laptops wishing to communicate with each other. Next, let us see the history. That is that Harald Bluetooth, that is the 10th century Danish king, managed to unite Denmark and Norway, that is Bluetooth SIG, that is a special interested group which is found in 1998 by Ericsson and Intel and IBM, and Toshiba and Nokia, and currently more than 2500 adopted companies are there, and it is created in order to promote and shape the define of specification and position of the Bluetooth in the marketplace. That is said to be a Bluetooth 2.1. Next is your Bluetooth architecture. So your Bluetooth architecture is something is divided into piconet and scatternet. So whereas piconet is something that each piconet has one master and up to 7 simultaneous slaves are attached. So here the master is a device that initiates the data exchange, whereas the slave is a device that responds to the master. Next is your scatternet. Scatternet is something that linking a multiple piconet through a master or a slave devices. So here the Bluetooth device has a point to multipoint capability to engage the scattered communication. So this is a diagram of piconet. See here all the devices in a piconet is a hop together. Here the master gives the slaves into clock and device ID, and non-piconet are the devices which is in standby. So here the M represent the master and S represent the slave, whereas P is said to be your parked and SB is said to be a standby devices. So next is your scatternet. So this diagram represents the sample of scatternet, that is the device can be slave in one piconet and it can be a master in another piconet. This diagram clearly represents it is a slave in one, the S is a slave in one piconet and it acts as a master in the other piconet. So next is your physical links. So the between master and the slave, different types of links can be established. Two link types have been defined. One is your synchronous connection oriented link and second one is your asynchronous connectionless link. Where here your synchronous connection oriented is something that it support symmetrical and circuit switches and point to point connection, whereas it's typically used for voice transfer and its data rate is about 64 kbps. Next is your asynchronous connectionless. So here is something that it support symmetrical and asymmetrical and packet switch and point to point to multi-point connections. So it is mainly used in data transmission and up to 433.9 kilobits per second in symmetric and 723.2 kilobits per second in asymmetric. Next, this is your Bluetooth protocol stack. So next in your Bluetooth protocol stack you have a Bluetooth radio which specifies the detail of air interface including frequency hopping and what are the modulation techniques is used and transmission power. So next is your baseband. Baseband is something that it concerned with the connection established within the piconet and address and packet format, timing and power control. And next is your link manager control. Link manager control is something that it establishes a link setup between a Bluetooth devices and manage an ongoing link with the security aspects. That is mainly for authentication and encryption and control. And next is your Bluetooth protocol stack. So here is something your logical link control and adaptation control. So here it adapts an upper layer protocol to the baseband layer and it provides both connection and connection oriented services. So next is your SDP, that is your service discovery protocol. It handles the devices information services and queries for service characteristics between two or more Bluetooth devices. Next, last one is your HCI, that is your harsh control interface that provides an interface between interface method for accessing the Bluetooth hardware capabilities, and it contains a command interface which acts between the baseband control and link manager. So next thing is your telephonic control services. It is a bit oriented protocol and it defines the call control signal for establishment of voice and data call between the Bluetooth devices. Next is your object exchange. Object exchange is something that your session layer protocol for exchange of objects, that is providing a model of an object and operation representation. Next is your RF communication, a reliable transport protocol which provides some communication between RS-232 CL port over L2 CAP protocol. Next is your WAE and WAP. So Bluetooth incorporates with a wireless application environment and wireless application protocol into architecture. Next is your connection establishment. So connection establishment is something that your standby page and page scan. So here the standby represents the state in which the Bluetooth devices is inactive and radio is not switched on and enable low power operation, whereas the page is something that master enters the page state and start transmitting the page message to the slave using an earlier gained access code and timing information. Next is your page scan. Page scan is something that the device periodically enters the page and state to allow the paging devices to establish connection. So before establishment connection, there are two states, that is one is inquiry and inquiry scan. So in your inquiry, the state in which devices tries to discover all Bluetooth enabled devices in close vicinity, as we do in your mobile phone. Next is your inquiry scan. Most of the devices are periodically enter the inquiry scan state and make themselves available in inquiry devices. So this is a clear example of how the inquiry acts. So here the standby stage acts as a master. It goes to an inquiry stage. Then packet transmission is done after scanning. Next is your Bluetooth security. So the three main security services are in Bluetooth. One is your authentication. So in authentication, we have to verify the identification of communicating devices, and user authentication is not provided natively by Bluetooth. And confidentiality is something that preventing information and compromise caused by eavesdropping by ensuring that only authorized device can access and view data. Next is your authorization. Authorization is something that it allows the control of resources by ensuring that the device is authorized to use a service before permitting it to do so. So if you have any clarification related to this topic, feel free to communicate me. Thank you, students.